Europe, a continent renowned for its historical landmarks, cultural diversity, and progressive societies, is generally considered a safe region. However, like any place in the world, certain cities and regions within Europe struggle with higher levels of crime. Crime rates in Europe vary significantly between countries, often influenced by socio-economic factors, population density, and organized criminal activities. In today's video, we're going to explore the top 10 most criminal places in Europe. These areas are known for having higher crime rates, whether it's violent crime, organized crime, drug trafficking, or petty theft. Before we dive in, it's important to note that while these places have higher crime statistics, they remain culturally and historically significant. Additionally, most of these locations are safe for tourists and residents if the necessary precautions are taken. Let's get started. 1. Naples, Italy. Naples, located in southern Italy, is known for its beautiful coastal views, rich history, and vibrant culture. However, it also carries a reputation as one of Europe's most criminal cities. The heart of Naples' crime problem stems from the notorious organized crime syndicate, the Camorra. This criminal group has deep roots in the city, dating back centuries, and its influence is widespread, extending from drug trafficking and extortion to money laundering. The Camorra operates similarly to a mafia, but its decentralized structure has allowed it to adapt and thrive even under pressure from law enforcement. Naples has struggled with corruption, and many neighborhoods in the city are controlled by this powerful crime syndicate. Locals live under the constant shadow of extortion, while the city also faces problems with illegal waste dumping, often orchestrated by organized crime groups. Tourists visiting Naples should be cautious, particularly in crowded areas like train stations and markets. Petty theft, such as pickpocketing and bag snatching, is also common, and many tourist-heavy areas are targeted by opportunistic thieves. While crime remains an issue, it's worth noting that Naples has taken strides toward reducing organized crime's grip on the city. There have been major police operations aimed at dismantling Camorra's networks, but the city still ranks high in terms of criminal activity. Crime statistics. 1. Violent crime rate, higher than the national average. 2. Petty crime, frequent in tourist areas. 3. Organized crime. The Camorra is still active in Naples and surrounding regions. 2. Marseille, France. Marseille is the second largest city in France and one of the oldest cities in Europe. It's known for its multicultural population, beautiful Mediterranean coastline, and status as a major port city. However, Marseille also has a reputation for its high crime rates, particularly drug-related violence and gang activity. One of the biggest problems Marseille faces is its drug trade. The city's port serves as a gateway for drugs entering Europe, particularly from North Africa. This has made Marseille a battleground for rival gangs fighting over territory and control of the drug market. Shootouts between gangs are not uncommon, especially in the northern suburbs where poverty rates are higher, and the influence of criminal organizations is more pronounced. In addition to gang violence, Marseille sees a high rate of property crimes such as burglary, car theft, and vandalism. Tourists visiting Marseille should be aware of pickpockets, particularly in busy areas like the Old Port and the metro system. While the city has launched initiatives aimed at reducing crime, including increased police presence in problem areas, it continues to rank as one of the most dangerous cities in France. Crime statistics. 1. Violent crime. Gang violence and drug-related shootings are common in some areas. 2. Property crime. High rates of theft and vandalism. 3. Drug trafficking. Major problem due to the city's status as a port. 3. London, United Kingdom. London, one of the largest and most diverse cities in Europe, is a global hub for finance, culture, and tourism. However, it's also a city with significant crime issues. While the overall crime rate in London is lower than in some other European cities, certain boroughs are plagued by high rates of violent crime, particularly knife crime. Knife crime in London has been on the rise in recent years, with much of the violence linked to gang activity. Boroughs such as Hackney, Tottenham, and Croydon have seen an increase in youth-related gang violence, with knives being the weapon of choice due to the city's strict gun control laws. Stabbings, particularly among young people, are a major concern for law enforcement. London also experiences high levels of property crime, with burglary and vehicle theft being common. Tourists in areas such as Westminster, Camden, and Oxford Street should be cautious of pickpockets and scam artists. Despite these issues, London remains one of the most visited cities in the world, and most tourists can enjoy their stay safely by taking basic precautions. Crime statistics. 1. Knife crime. A major issue in certain boroughs. 2. Property crime. High in tourist areas. 3. Gang violence. Linked to youth gangs in some neighborhoods. 4. Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, is known for its clean streets, modern architecture, and high standard of living. However, in recent years, the city has seen an increase in crime, particularly gang-related violence. Stockholm has a growing problem with shootings and bombings, often linked to criminal organizations involved in drug trafficking. The rise in violent crime has been concentrated in specific neighborhoods, primarily in the suburbs. These areas, often referred to as no-go zones by some media outlets, have seen a rise in gang activity as rival groups battle for control over drug distribution networks. The Swedish government has been working to combat this issue by increasing police presence and investing in community development projects, but the problem persists. Tourists visiting Stockholm are generally safe in the city center, where violent crime is rare. However, pickpocketing and petty theft can occur in crowded areas such as train stations and tourist attractions. Crime statistics. 1. Gang-related violence. Rising, particularly in suburban areas. 2. Drug trafficking. A growing problem. 3. Petty theft. Common in tourist-heavy areas. 5. Brussels, Belgium. Is the capital of Belgium and the seat of the European Union, Brussels is an important political and cultural hub. However, it also faces significant crime challenges, particularly in relation to organized crime and terrorism. Certain neighborhoods in Brussels, such as Molenbeek, have become infamous for being breeding grounds for radicalization and extremism. In the past decade, Brussels has been associated with several high-profile terrorist attacks, which have put the city under intense scrutiny. In addition to terrorism concerns, Brussels has a high rate of property crimes, particularly vehicle theft, burglary, and pickpocketing. Tourists should be cautious in areas like the Grand Place, where thieves often target unsuspecting visitors. Organized crime, particularly drug trafficking and human smuggling, is another significant problem in Brussels. The city's location at the crossroads of Europe makes it a key transit point for criminal organizations operating across the continent. Crime statistics. 1. Terrorism. Brussels has been linked to several major attacks. 2. Organized crime. High, particularly in drug trafficking and human smuggling. 3. Property crime. Frequent in tourist and residential areas. 6. Barcelona, Spain. Barcelona is one of Europe's most popular tourist destinations, known for its stunning architecture, vibrant culture, and sandy beaches. However, it's also one of the cities with the highest rate of petty crime in Europe. Pickpocketing, in particular, is a widespread problem in Barcelona, and tourists are often targeted in crowded areas such as Las Ramblas, the Gothic Quarter, and on public transportation. In recent years, Barcelona has also seen a rise in violent crime, including muggings and assaults. While these incidents are still relatively rare compared to other major European cities, they have raised concerns among locals and tourists alike. The increase in crime has been attributed to economic challenges and the growing presence of organized crime groups involved in drug trafficking and human smuggling. Despite these issues, Barcelona remains a must-visit city for tourists, and the local government has implemented several measures to improve safety, including increasing the number of police officers in tourist areas. Crime statistics. 1. Petty crime. Extremely high, particularly pickpocketing. 2. Violent crime. On the rise but still relatively low compared to other cities. 3. Organized crime. Increasing involvement in drug trafficking. 7. Athens, Greece. Athens, the historic capital of Greece, is famous for its ancient monuments and rich cultural heritage. However, it's also a city with a relatively high crime rate, particularly when it comes to petty crime and theft. Tourists visiting Athens should be particularly cautious in areas such as Monastiraki and Plaka, where pickpocketing and bag snatching are common. Athens has also faced issues with organized crime, particularly in relation to drug trafficking and human smuggling. The city's location makes it a key transit point for migrants and refugees entering Europe, and this has led to an increase in criminal activity related to human trafficking. In recent years, Athens has experienced an uptick in violent crime, including assaults and robberies. Economic challenges, social unrest, and high unemployment rates have contributed to the rise in crime, particularly in certain neighborhoods where poverty is more widespread. Crime statistics. 1. Petty crime. High, particularly in tourist areas. 2. Organized crime. Present, particularly in drug trafficking. 3. Violent crime. Rising in certain neighborhoods. 8. Palermo, Italy. Palermo, the capital of Sicily, has long been associated with organized crime, particularly the Sicilian Mafia, also known as Cosa Nostra. While law enforcement has made significant progress in cracking down on mafia-related activities, corruption, racketeering, and extortion are still major issues in the city. The mafia continues to exert influence over certain aspects of life in Palermo, particularly in construction, waste management, and local businesses. In addition to organized crime, Palermo struggles with high levels of street crime, including theft and robbery. Tourists visiting the city should be cautious, especially in busy markets and around popular attractions where pickpockets are active. Despite its crime challenges, Palermo remains a city rich in culture and history, with stunning architecture and a unique blend of Italian and Arabic influences. Crime statistics. 1. Organized crime. High, with the mafia still active in certain sectors. 2. Street crime. Common, particularly theft and robbery. 3. Corruption. A persistent issue in local governance. 9. Paris, France. Paris, one of the world's most iconic cities, is known for its art, fashion, and romantic charm. However, it's also a city with significant crime problems, particularly when it comes to petty theft. Pickpocketing is rampant in Paris, especially in areas like the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and along the Champs-Élysées. Tourists should be particularly cautious on public transportation, where thieves often operate in teams. In addition to petty crime, Paris has seen an increase in violent crime in recent years, including assaults and robberies. Certain suburbs of Paris, known as banlieues, are notorious for higher crime rates, often linked to social unrest, gang activity, and poverty. The French government has invested in initiatives to improve conditions in these areas, but crime remains a challenge. Crime statistics. 1. Petty crime. High, particularly in tourist areas. 2. Violent crime. Rising, particularly in certain suburbs. 3. Social unrest. Present in some of the outer suburbs. 10. Rotterdam, Netherlands. Rotterdam, one of Europe's largest and busiest ports, has become a key entry point for drug trafficking into Europe. The city's strategic location and its large port facilities have attracted international criminal organizations involved in the smuggling of cocaine and other illegal substances. This has led to an increase in gang-related violence, including shootings and bombings as rival groups fight for control of the drug trade. While Rotterdam is generally safe for tourists, certain neighborhoods have higher crime rates, particularly in relation to organized crime. Crime statistics. 1. Organized crime. High, particularly in relation to drug trafficking. 2. Gang violence. Rising due to competition over the drug trade. 3. Petty crime. Present, but not as prevalent as in other major cities. While Europe is often seen as a relatively safe continent, it's clear that some areas face significant crime challenges. From the mafia-controlled streets of Palermo to the gang violence in Marseille, these cities highlight the diverse range of criminal activities that occur across Europe. However, it's important to remember that crime can vary greatly even within cities, and many of these places remain safe for tourists and residents alike if they take the necessary precautions. Stay safe, and happy travels.